How are you going to hold on to your remote employees? Every day I hear about people trying to find remote employees and posting a whole bunch of posts online at one of the various job sites. And then they get lucky and they find somebody that they love. They screen a whole bunch of candidates. That person finally comes on board. Then they spend a bunch of time training them and getting them up to speed on their processes and how they like things done. And then 2 or 3 months later, that person ghosts them and just disappears on them. In today's remote world, that's becoming more and more common. And that is a frustration for many clients that I talk to. And this episode is going to talk about how to keep your remote employees and keep them happy and keep them working for you for the long haul. Everybody knows the importance of attracting top talent for your business. There's a well-known stat that if you hire somebody and it's a miss, it can cause a delay or a hindrance to your company for up to a year. You've got 2 or 3 months that you're bringing that person on board, then you're training them for a few months. Then you're deciding that, oh, this person's not that great. And you decide, you hem and haw over it. You maybe struggle with it for a few months trying to correct them. And then when you finally do let them go, you got to start that whole process again, and it's a couple of months before you bring them on board. So hiring top talent really is important. However, how do you hold on to them when you got them? How are you going to keep them on board? And that's what we're going to talk to you today. How can you bring top talent on board and then hold on to them and not lose them? In today's remote world, that becomes harder and harder when you're not seeing them every day, and having a good culture is more and more difficult. We're going to show you the tips and tricks on how to get that done. In today's world, when you're hiring somebody, you're probably posting a bunch of job ads, maybe getting the word out in other ways. And then that candidate is invariably looking online to see what your website looks like and doing their own research. So I think it's vitally important that your website not only be speaking to the potential customers that you have, but also is showing potential candidates what working with you is like. In addition to having testimonials from other clients, you may want to have testimonials from some employees that can talk about how great it is to work with you guys. You're going to want to think about the work arrangements that you have, the flexibility that you have. Do you want them working during your day hours? Or maybe you want to have some flexibility and have them working a mid-shift starting at noon and going up into the evening. Or if you've got a remote team that's working overseas, potentially you want to take advantage of that 24-hour work cycle that you hear about and work all day long and pass it on to the staff that's overseas and have them work on it overnight and then give that to you in the morning so that you can finish the project. Really thinking about what really needs to be done within that work shift, and then making sure that's clear to any potential employees so that there's no misunderstandings and issues down the road. There's no need hiring somebody if they think that the job is going to be one shift and you really need it to be another shift. So clearly communicating that is important. And then obviously you're going to want to be compensating your employee as best you can. And so you got to remain competitive, but you want to have a competitive salary. Everyone knows that. But what some people don't know is that you also want to be thinking about benefits, especially if you're hiring a remote worker overseas or even locally. You want to be thinking about the benefits that they could be getting if they had a regular W-2 type employment project or a position. So, health benefits, medical, dental, all of those things are things that you want to consider providing for your employee. Additionally, in the Philippines, for example, they are entitled to maternity leave, bereavement leave, holidays, overtime pay, all these things that the federal government in the Philippines wants their employees to enjoy. And if you want to be competitive in attracting those employees, you're going to want to offer those as well. So considering those options and making sure that you're providing them is really something that you want to be considering. I recently had a friend of mine that I love and is a great guy and has some employees through our agency, but also has some freelance or contract employees as well, reach out to me and say, hey, I've got an employee that is telling me that they're going on maternity leave and they want 100 days off of paid vacation. It's not vacation if you're having maternity leave. But he was asking me, is this true? And I said, yes. And if they're working with Tache, we're making sure that we're paying their Social Security benefits so that they're all aligned with the government requires, and we're getting we're making sure that that happens in the way that the government requires, that we're getting their reimbursement through the government, that it's all following the rules of the government. Unfortunately, a lot of contract employees are not doing that. They're not making their Social Security payments. And then what happens is you end up in a situation where they're not entitled to those benefits, right? At least not legally. And then you're going to have to pay those benefits. And it becomes a situation that can be it can be awkward between you and your employees. So making sure that you're following all the rules from the beginning can really be beneficial. And if that's something that the employee knows you're doing, they're really going to be attracted to that type of position. Additionally, you're going to want to make sure that your employees have professional development opportunities. So in your job ad, if you can say, this is an opportunity for advancement, this is a growing company, this is a position where you can go from a junior level person to a senior level person. As you can imagine, that's going to be much more attractive. And so when I'm speaking with clients, I'm telling them that these are the types of positions that employees want, and we're going to want to show that, demonstrate that to potential employees. And then you're going to have a lot more success finding those growth-oriented people that end up being rock stars in your organization, because they're looking to grow. They're looking at this position as a full-time, long-term commitment that's going to be beneficial for both you and your employee. Additionally, you want to make sure that you have transparent and consistent communication with the candidate. If you ask them for a job interview and then you have the job interview and then you ghost them for several days, obviously they're going to think that, well, maybe they weren't interested. A lot of these candidates are applying to 5, 10 different places and really seeing where it shakes out. So I really advise our clients, you want to be consistent, you want to follow up at least every other day, if not every day, on what the process is, what they should expect next, and really guide them through the process to bring them on board to your organization. And if you follow these steps, you're going to end up with rock stars in your organization.